Hello, hello. So, this message here is mostly like a political message. A lot of it seems very prophetic, but I haven't received full confirmation from the Lord yet. I'm sure I will as the weeks go by. But I cannot ignore what He's been showing me any longer over the course of this month of March in particular. Okay? So, I've made words about politics before. Now, prior to COVID, I was not into politics at all whatsoever. But after COVID, I got into it, especially in regards of Biden and Trump, and in Canada, Trudeau and Poilievre. Okay, the Lord was showing me that His choice was to have Trump be a certain way and then Poilievre be in power as well. I'm not saying that's not going to happen. However, we know as a spiritual community that the devil has been going spiritually crazy over the course of this last month, right? And that has trickled over into the political world as well, because as we know in America, Trump has been pushing for all different kinds of things, in particular these tariffs. Now somehow all of a sudden Russia's in there with, talking about ceasefires, and Trump wanting to take over Gaza, and then with Canada, with electing Mark Carney and stuff there's been a lot of stuff that's been seeming to just go on. And the Lord has told me that this is no different than COVID. They were trying to establish order and control the government over the people back in 2020 through the COVID pandemic, okay? Or supposed pandemic. The plandemic, as people say, right? This is a plandemic as well. This is planned. This whole tariff thing, they tried to do this with the Russia war. When the Russia war started out, they inflated everything, all the prices and stuff, and they blamed it on the war with Russia. But we never hear about the war with Russia anymore. And now they're saying there's a ceasefire and all this other stuff. It hasn't even concerned us, but it was what drove up our prices in the first place, remember? Then the second thing was COVID. They blamed inflation on COVID, that COVID drove up the prices, but yet there is no COVID. Nobody gets COVID anymore, but yet the prices are still high. Now there's this tariff thing. China's in there, America's in there, Canada's in there. The Lord was showing me that this is another gimmick. This is another plan. There was never COVID, there was never war, there was never tariffs. It's just these governments' way of creating inflation. They're trying to drive the prices up to line greedy people's pockets, and they have to blame it on something. They wanted to use COVID so that they looked innocent. They wanted to use a war in Russia so they looked innocent. They wanted to, so that America and Canada looked innocent. The Lord is showing me it's mostly America and Canada. There's like a big scheme. It's corrupt. It's very corrupt, as we already know. But the Lord is showing me that the corruption is rearing its head again through the devil. Right? We're seeing the devil spiritually, and the devil's manifesting physically in the form of corruption in the government. And this is being done in all sorts of ways, as we're seeing. But the Lord is saying it's happening again. Like the sheeple bought the whole COVID thing, right? And here they go and turn around, and all the prices of everything almost darn near double. And they're like, what the heck? But the government chalks it up to COVID, and everyone's like, oh, okay, all right. And they just swallow it. And the Lord is saying that is what's going on currently, and is to come in the future with these tariffs, is that the prices are going to go up again, and people can already barely afford things as is. Why, when this war in Russia has died down years ago, has there been no lowering of prices? Why, when COVID isn't even a thing anymore in the last couple of years, haven't we lowered prices? Now all of a sudden they're coming up with a tariff thing that honestly, Lord's telling me isn't even a thing. Is to try to justify why the states can crank up their prices and why Canada can crank up their prices. And they're trying to blame other countries. They blame China for the COVID outbreak. They blamed Russia for the war, for the increase in things, the inflation, the first inflation. Now they're wanting to blame America. Canada's wanting to blame America for tariffs. China and America for tariffs. Canada is extremely corrupt. I'm not saying the States isn't, but Canada is extremely bad. And the Lord is telling me that Mark Carney is calling this election, apparently, which makes no sense, but he is. And they're going to say he won. Even though just 2 months ago, everybody and their dog in Canada wanted Pierre for the win. And as far as I know, they still do. But the media is trying to tilt it and slant it that, Trump is this real bad guy, and that is just smoke and mirrors, so that when these prices raise up in Canada, Trump can be the bad guy instead of our own Canadian government. You understand? And I do believe that Trump was chosen, yes. Now, it's not necessarily to make everything butterflies and rainbows, but chosen for a mission. And if this is part and parcel of it, then that is in fact chosen for a mission, right? From the Lord. Because I don't know if we're living in the end of days or if this is leading up to World War III. But either way, things don't happen by accident, right? So meaning that if Biden was still in power, this probably wouldn't be going down this way. And so this has to come to pass, whether it be because it's Bible prophecy, end of days, book of Revelation playing out, or it's just World War III coming like we had World War I and World War II. But the Lord is showing me stuff to do with like racism and stuff, that's going to be a thing. Hence why Trump started it out by deporting people back to their countries and stuff. That's going to play a card somewhere. And then also inflation on goods, like just normal goods, utilities, rent, food, things like this that we've already experienced. And it's because of this supposed tariffs. But the Lord is saying, don't believe everything you see. Like I said, this whole month of March is full of illusion. And here we're nearing the end of it, and the Lord is showing me even more details. I don't know why the Lord has me speak on politics, so often, but he does. And so it must be relevant, especially over the course of these last 5 years. And it's because so much corruption sent by the devil has started to manifest itself physically. And so yeah, expect prices to go up. Expect Mark Carney to say that he won in Canada, even if he really didn't. This is the thing, is they fudge the polls. When they said Justin won a second time, I don't believe he did. I think they just said he did. When, now Mark Carney's calling this election, I guarantee he's going to say he won. When, how did he win? When everybody and their dog was against the Liberal Party for years and wanted Pierre, and all of a sudden, right? Corruption at its finest. This is all corruption. It's all lies and deception, smoke and mirrors, trying to say there's tariffs, trying to say there's COVID, trying to say there's, that Carney won, that this party won, that this, that, and the third. It's just, and the government wants control so bad because the devil is controlling them, and the devil wants control. The devil likes to oppress and control and suppress people. And if he can bring you right down and cause crime and mental illness and anger and hostility and poverty, he's going to do it. Sickness, all kinds of things. So anyways, I'm going to leave it there. This is just some things that the Lord has been showing me, and he's been on me to make a video about. Like I said, he's been showing it to me for a while, but as we're drawing through this month of March, he's just been showing more and more to me, and he's been bringing news things to my attention that I just can no longer argue or forget. And he's, putting it together for me, right? Bit by bit. And I'm seeing this, and it's upsetting to me because, this is the thing, is everyone's trying to paint Trump as this bad guy, and I'm not on his side per se, but it just seems very suspicious to me that everybody is all guns blazing for Trump. Meanwhile, China is putting just as big, if not more big, of tariffs on Canada than Trump is. But yet everyone is using Trump as the main the main problem. And I believe that that's intentional. At first I thought it was really suspicious, and I still do, but in a way where I believe that's part of the plan, is because look at us a year from now. If everything is twice the price it is now that we can barely afford, they can just say blame Trump, and so it's all part of another plan. The first plan was to corrupt everybody and ruin everybody, was the war in Russia, then it was COVID, and now it's tariffs. And who knows what else is around the corner. And this is the thing, is that we need the Lord to help us, and people also need to stand up for themselves. This is the thing, is whatever the government says, people fall for it. And the devil uses that as his tool. That's illusions, whatever. So literally the government is going to people and saying, we just want to crank up the prices, and everyone would say no and cause a fuss. So instead they blame it on another country or another person that our country can't help or control, and boom, there you go, problem solved. Because now if prices go high and the states can't afford things, they can blame Trump. And if or perhaps in the future Mark Carney, right, Canada, and vice versa. If Canadians can't afford their cost of living, then we can all just blame the states and Trump, you see? So that, because this is what happened with Russia, so that we just feel like we're in a chokehold and there's nothing we can do. But when in actuality, it's our own home government. And this is the thing I see, especially with Canada, is they're trying to wipe their hands clean. I mean, at least in the States with Trump, you know, their own leaders doing whatever. But in Canada, it is our own leaders. It is our own government. For whatever reason, they want to continuously maintain having the Liberal government in power, even if it means lying and saying they're holding elections because we're a democratic government, but saying that who they choose wins. And we've been at the mercy of this Liberal government, and for some reason they won't go away. And they're a horrible government. And the Lord is showing me that this is for a reason, either because it needs to lead up to a world war eventually, or it needs to be biblical prophecy, book of Revelation playing out, right? You know what I mean? Either way. But what we need to do as believers is continue to pray to God and ask him for protection and to show us things and to assist us and help us, right? Because I don't know what's going on yet. The Lord is showing me that it's early unfolding, like it's just starting to unfold now, all of the pieces, and it has been since February, but in particular March. March is very illusion. It's a month of illusions, and I'm hoping that come April things get better, like change for the positive in some way, shape, or form. But the way it's showing me right now is I just see like Mark Carney was fraudulently elected. He is holding an election, and he's going to say that he was elected after that to try to prove to the Canadian citizens, like, see, I did win fair and square, but he didn't. Nobody wants the Liberal government, and in particular him or Justin Trudeau. They just don't, and they're just trying to cover it up and like fleece everyone to think that you know it went a certain way that it didn't go. And everybody's trying to pin everything on Trump to make him like, you know, the most hated man in town, so to speak, right? Which is all well and good, but then it causes people to be distracted and focusing on Trump instead of paying attention to the Liberal government where their eyes really need to be. Because we're sitting over here in poverty, losing money by the day, and we see that, we notice that, experiencing homelessness and things like this, and lack of food, but yet buying and believing things like COVID and tariffs and things like this, when these things are just smoke and mirrors. Where's the proof, right? Where's the proof? And honestly, it's just a way of lining greedy people's pockets. So anyways, like I said, Canadians are feeling the brunt of it, and other countries are taking the blame. So when Canadian prices go up, oh, well, we have to do this because Russia's at war. Oh, well, we have to do this because China made COVID. Oh, well, we have to do this because Trump brought in tariffs. You know what I'm saying? But yet, like I said, check it out. China has placed just as large, if not actually larger, tariffs on Canada than America has. But yet for some reason Trump is still public enemy number one. It just doesn't make sense. It's highly, extremely suspicious. So anyways, some food for thought. I will be back if the Lord leads me to with anything else. Hopefully this video gets posted and it's not shadow banned like all the other ones when I spit the truth. Because yeah, just watch out for the news and media, because not everything that you see is true, okay? Appearances can be deceiving, like I've said numerous times throughout this month. That's the theme the Lord keeps showing me. Don't believe everything that the news tells you. Don't believe everything that Trump, you know, people are saying about Trump. It's just, this is all a ruse. Thank you, Lord. Hallelujah. The Lord is saying it's all a ruse. So take care. God bless.